So George R. R. Martin just broke his silence about the Duncan Egg show. A lot of people out there were wondering about his involvement, what is it going to mean for the Winter, and we're going to talk about that right now. First things first, and I've seen a lot of people joking around about the title. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the Hedge Knight. It's a bit long and a bit unpractical, I think. And George acknowledges it. He says he doesn't know if it's going to stay that way or if it's going to change. It definitely won't be called Duncan Egg because it's just a little bit too sitcom-like, which fair. I wouldn't mind, but the broader audience, you gotta advertise it, and millions out there don't know about these beautiful tales. Depending on how far this goes, how much they will adapt, if they go for Summerhall and Aegon's reign, they will probably get something that is a bit Targaryen-esque, something that the audience is familiar with, and the Targaryens are probably perfect for that. Moving on, George also confirmed that this is a full series order. It's not just gonna be a pilot like with Blood Moon, so don't worry, we're not gonna run into another situation like that again, where they spent $30 million on something and didn't go with it. Yeah, so far he of course has written 3 novellas, which were compiled in A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Another interesting bit is that the first season will focus on the Hedge Knight, on the first novella. And the pilot episode is already written. He thinks it's terrific, and it was written by the guy who has written the 4th episode of House of the Dragon, which in my opinion is the second best episode of House of the Dragon season 1. That was Ira Parker's episode. It was the one where they were sneaking around the city. It was relatively small scale, which is definitely something that might come in handy for this show. Ryan Condal is also involved. Ira Parker was on Ryan Condal's writing staff for House of the Dragon. It's nothing new for these guys, and I think that is very important. You should have people working on this show that understand this world. Duncan Egg is full of potential. These short stories have everything that made A Song of Ice and Fire so great in the first place. And I'm gonna sound like a douchebag here, but it's all about that human conflict that George R. R. Martin goes on and on about. And it's about the small folk and the interactions that Duncan Egg have with the small folk. That's gonna be very important for the later seasons if they decide to show Aegon's reign. George also makes a very important point here, which is that Duncan Egg, in comparison to Fire and Blood, is much more detailed. Much more, it's really all laid out. Fire and Blood is more like outlines and sketches, and you really have to fill in the blanks to make it entertaining. And in the case of Duncan Egg, you really have a lot of ideas about the characters already established. You don't have to make things up as much as you had to do it with House of the Dragon. Hold on, before I continue, yeah, there it is. 6 episodes. He's speaking about 6 episodes for season 1, and I think that is good. 10 episodes is a little bit much because you really have to drag things out a lot. 6 episodes is also a lot, but as I said time and time again, if you write a compelling story about these characters interacting with the small folk, it's doable. And you can expand and you can make things up. It's not as complex as A Song of Ice and Fire, so you don't run into a Game of Thrones season 5 till season 8 kind of thing, in my opinion. We'll see how that goes. It's not final. He's saying most likely 6 episodes. We shall see how it develops. So far, again, they just have the pilot episode. And then we have, to a lot of people, the most important part about this update, which is him talking about writing more Duncan Egg novellas. A lot of people were worried. Of course, that is seemingly similar to Game of Thrones. This thing gets picked up, he didn't finish the source material, and yet it's way different. Sure, let George talk about all of these projects and whatever he's gonna do. That's even irrelevant for this thing here, because Duncan Egg is gonna culminate with Summerhall. It's not 20 POV characters that you have to bring to a satisfying end. It's 2 people that have a journey, an adventure. If I would have to make a guess, I think people are probably just gonna concentrate on this right here, and I think you really shouldn't. I think you really shouldn't, because it's not realistic, in my opinion. Maybe I'll eat up my words one day. But I don't think it's realistic that he's gonna write multiple new Duncan Egg stories. I think She-Wolves of Winterfell is it's almost done. But apart from that, I don't see it happening. And it doesn't change the way I see a Duncan Egg show either way. Even if he writes 2 more short stories, let's say one takes place during the Blackfire Rebellion a couple of years down the line, it doesn't change anything really. And then finally, George talked about the other spin-off shows, and especially the Sea Snake show and Nymeria's 10,000 Ships prequel. There were a lot of reports out there that those have been shelved, which George just straight up debunked. And yeah, this is just confirmation. I will never talk about rumors on this channel again. I will never do that again. I'm fine. It's gotten to a point where people just straight up make things up, and that's not how I want to spend my free time. And I'd advise you to focus on the facts and reliable sources. There are a few of those out there still, thankfully. Yeah, seems like Sea Snake and the Nymeria prequel are very much in development. In fact, he says that they just had a great week on the Sea Snake show, the one that focuses on Corlys Velarion's voyages. And that's all I have for today. I have 2 videos about Duncan Egg on my channel already. One is more of a reaction to the news of Duncan Egg getting picked up, because it's my dream show and I always wanted to see this show. I've talked about this show for years, and I really do think that it's gonna be great. And another one is about how the show could go and how I see it happening. Definitely check these out if you're interested. Then there's gonna be another video on the Grease Goblins channel. We just recorded something about Duncan Egg. And yeah, until then, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, take care, and see us later.